In this episode of Bible Time, we will learn the story of the 10 plagues. In obedience to God's command, Moses brought his family with him and traveled back to Egypt. Along the way, they were met by his brother Aaron. Moses told him all the words that the Lord had spoken to him, what he had to say, and the wonders or miracles he was to perform. Moses and Aaron first went to and gathered all the leaders of Israel and told them about God's plan to rescue them from slavery. After hearing this, they rejoiced and worshiped God. A few days later, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and gave him God's message. They said, "This is what the Lord God of Israel says. Let my people go, so that they may worship me in the desert." But the Pharaoh refused, saying, "I will not let Israel go." That same day, the Pharaoh ordered the men in charge of the slaves to make them suffer. The leaders of Israel became angry with Moses and Aaron. So, Moses prayed to God about the sufferings of the Israelites under the Egyptians. The Lord answered Moses and sent him back to the king with another message. However, the king first asked Moses to prove that he was sent by God. Moses performed miracles through Aaron. When Aaron threw down his walking stick in front of the king and his advisors, it turned into a snake. The king asked his own magicians to perform the same miracle. They also threw down their own sticks, and these turned into snakes. But Aaron's stick that turned into a snake swallowed the other snakes. Still, the king stubbornly refused to listen to Moses and Aaron. Because of this, God sent 10 plagues, or disasters, to Egypt. All of the water in Egypt turned to blood. After this, numerous frogs came out of the rivers and scattered over all Egypt. God also scattered tiny creatures called lice to bite and torment all the Egyptians. After the lice, countless flies entered the homes of the Egyptians, but did not harm the Israelites. The cattle and the other animals that belonged to the Egyptians began to die. The people of Egypt, along with their flocks and other animals, also began to get sick with boils and blisters. Hail rained down on the Egyptians and killed anyone who did not take shelter. All the crops that were not destroyed by hail were plagued by locusts, insects that eat plants and crops. After all this, the entire land of Egypt darkened, except for where the Israelites lived. But after each of these plagues, the Pharaoh was stubborn and refused to let Israel go. The 10th, or the last plague, was the death of all the firstborn in Egypt, whether these were men or animals. But all these plagues did not happen to the Israelites. So that the Israelites will not forget how God saved them from that plague, He commanded them to celebrate the Lord's Passover, to remember how the plague passed over them.